And what I'm going to use for post-optimality analysis will be the scenario 2. It's this, not the original one. Okay. So, now I'm going to explain now the post-optimality analysis. Okay. The post-optimality analysis, again, going back to the concept, it's after the optimal solution, and the optimal solution is x1 is 6, x2 is 4, profit 64. After you have arrived at the optimal solution and you want to increase profit, and definitely you always want to increase profit or want to minimize cost further, ano gagawin mo? What should you do? And how do you justify what has to be done? Diba? So it's very, very important. So now, the optimality analysis consists of two parts. One for the objective function and the second for the constraint. So I'll explain to you. I'll start with objective function. Okay. So, and that's the basis for the post-optimality analysis. So the post-optimality analysis for the objective function is we're going to use this portion. Ito. For the constraint, ito naman, the second part of the sensitivity report. Okay? Okay, I'll start with objective function. Okay. What's the post-optimality for objective function? Ito daw yun. Right now, the constraints, the optimal solution is 6 and 4, profit 64. It's a sensitivity analysis of the objective function coefficients. Okay, technical, pero I'll simplify it. What are the objective function coefficients? 6 and 7. 6 for product A, 7 for product B. These are the profit margins because we want to maximize profit, di ba? So these are the profit margins. So the analysis is this. Okay. If we increase the profit margin or decrease profit margin, if you increase profit margin for product A, product B, what's the impact on the optimal solution? Okay. Again, balikan natin. Why is optimal solution critical? Because it assures you that profit is maximum. It assures you that cost is minimized, lowest. And in today's very competitive world, no more boundaries. You know, you have to always maximize profit and minimize cost and or. Okay, so it's very, you have to be, you always have to make sure that your solution is optimal. So when do you increase or decrease your profit margins? In real life, you do that a lot of times. So profit margins can be adjusted using what? Could be selling price, could be cost of goods. Okay, so and generally, you play with profit margins using selling price kasi cost of goods usually doesn't change that much. Okay, so let's play with the profit margins of product A and product B. Right now is 6 and 7. So it tells us, look at this. The optimality analysis, post-optimality for the objective function, it's this. Applies to the coefficient. Very important, huh? It applies to the coefficient. The allowable increase and decrease, they apply to the coefficient. Okay? So meaning, the maximum for product A, you can increase the coefficient by 8. 6 plus 8. 14. And you can decrease it by 1.33. 6 minus 1.33 or 4.67. What is the importance of this? Okay. Within this range, you can increase and decrease. Siyempre, di ba? In your strategy, marketing strategy. You can increase or decrease your pricing and therefore your profit margin. So if you're within this range, your optimal solution is still the same optimal solution. You don't have to change your optimal solution. X1 is 6, X2 is 4. So the optimal solution of a 60%, 40%, 60% A, 40% B, you should maintain. That's still the optimal solution. Don't change. So if you, of course, it doesn't mean that you cannot increase beyond this range. You can, but your optimal solution will no longer be this. You will have to go back to solver and solve again. Clear, huh? Okay. So, for product B naman, look at product B, you can increase by 2 and decrease by 4. So, within this profit margin range, the optimal solution will be the same. Don't change the optimal solution because it will result in highest profit. X1 is 6, X2 is 4. Okay. So that's the meaning of the sensitivity analysis for the objective function. Okay? And this only works when you change one and don't change the other. If you have 5, change one, the other 4 remains the same. If you want to change all, the pricing, the profit margins of all, then this doesn't work. You have to go back to solver and change all of the objective function coefficients. So this only applies when you change one and make constant the rest. Okay? How about the constraints? This is the more important sensitivity analysis than the sensitivity analysis for the objective function. Okay? Why? Because it deals with the shadow price. Okay, so now, the allowable increase, while for the objective function, the allowable increase and decrease applies to the objective function coefficient, iba naman sa constraints. They apply to the constraint. And the constraints are 24 hours for machine 1, 16 hours for machine 2. Ito yan, di ba? It's this. It's these two. Okay, the 24 hours and 16 hours. Okay? So, the allowable increase for machine 1 is 24. So, meaning 24, this one, plus 24, 48. The minimum is 24 less 8 is 16. So, what is the implication of this? The significance. It means that if you increase or decrease your capacity within this range, the same shadow price applies, which is $2 per hour. Okay? Meaning the shadow price, which is the increase or decrease in profit in this case, will only apply if you increase your capacity up to 48 and decrease down to 16. Of course, again, you can increase beyond 48 and go down beyond 16. But the shadow price will no longer be 2. You have to go back to solver and check what the new shadow price will be. Okay? For the machine 2 naman, the maximum 16, look at the, yan, 16 plus 8. 16, allowable decrease is also 8. So, 24 hours, 8 hours. So, meaning, within this range, you can increase up to this, 24 hours, you can decrease down to 8 hours. The same shadow price of 1, look at $1 per hour will be valid. Okay, so, for you not to get confused, so very simple examples. For example, okay, for machine, say machine 1. Okay, so the existing capacity is 24 hours. Okay, what if you decided to increase by 12 hours additional? You know it's binding, so you decided to increase it by 50%. Additional capacity, 12 hours, di ba? So, now the total will become 36 hours. Question, what will happen to profit? Okay? The first thing to do is take a look at the solver, the sensitivity report, and check if the additional capacity is within the allowable increase. Is 12 within the allowable increase? Obviously, it's yes. Okay. Therefore, if within, based on this analysis, if within the allowable increase, then the shadow price of 2 will apply. So therefore, the increase in profit will be equal to 12 hours times 2 per hour. So the increase in profit is $24. Okay? So, and what if it's this? It's like this. Okay, machine 1 again. Existing capacity is 24 hours. But you decided to be very aggressive and you increased by 48 times 3 capacity. Okay? So your new capacity, you bought additional machines, you tripled the capacity, it became 72 hours. Question, what will happen to profit? Okay? Now, based on the first step, I said, check if within range. Is the increase of 48 within range? The answer is no. you have exceeded the range. Therefore, the answer is you don't know yet, okay? Because this shadow price will no longer apply. Meaning, the answer to this is you will have to go back to solver to check what the new shadow price will be. It's no longer 2. So, you don't know. Okay? You don't know yet. But in real life, you don't say you don't know. So, you go back to solver, replace the capacity, and find out what the new solver shadow price will be. For you to find out what is the impact on profit. Okay? Okay, another application is that what if there's a, this is very important, this is very practical. There's a new product C. Okay, new product, could be new product, could be new business, could be new service, basta new, okay? For business development to, okay? And this new product C as a $10 per unit profit margin. It requires 4 hours machine 1 and 3 hours machine 2. Okay, question. What will happen if there's a new product with a higher profit margin than the existing products but requires 4 hours ng machine 1 and 3 hours of machine 2? So you might be tempted to say that's a no-brainer. It's more profitable. Therefore, the answer is yes, of course. No, it's not that simple. Why? Because you have constraints. Okay, it will consume your existing resources. It will compete with the existing products for additional. No, it's an additional burden on the existing resources. So you will have to find out. Okay, what will the cost benefit and will be? There is a cost benefit analysis to this. So this is how you make a decision. So what is the cost and what is the benefit? Obviously, the benefit is the $10 kasi that's your profit margin. What is the cost naman? You will be producing less of products A and B because you will be using up 4 hours and 3 hours of the very scarce and limited resources. So what is this opportunity cost? So this is the opportunity cost. It's 4 hours multiplied by the shadow price. It's what you plus the 3 hours times the shadow price for machine 2. So this is $11. So based on this analysis, the cost is higher than the benefit. Obviously, the answer is no, you should not. Okay? See how fast you can make decisions.